On tonight's episode of Obscured Reality, join us as we dive into the whistleblower David Grusch, who claims we have 12 downed alien craft in our possession and are currently reverse engineering them. This has been a common theme throughout history. But is it true? Come along with us and find out. Sit down, sit back, and relax, and join us on our journey through Obscured Reality.
Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. We are your hosts, Mark and Stevie. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Another night, another dollar, another 99-cent tax. Alrighty. How's it going?
It's going
been
freaking great, actually.
Yeah.
I'm officially on vacation for the next week.
Oh, I thought you were going to say permanently for a minute.
Oh, they
Soon,
wish.
just not yet.
They wish.
They can't get rid of me that easily.
Right. They have to have a paper trail to get rid of my ass officially. So, no, I'm on vacation, so I'm doing fucking spectacular. And I had a customer come in who was the type of customer who reminded me why I'm taking this vacation. So it was just like that extra little, I fucking need this. Hell yeah. So
Nice.
I'm pretty stoked.
Well, fun. Sounds like
yes.
a dandy old time.
Hell yeah.
Well, you got tonight's show. What do you got for us?
Well, it's more of a discussion. It's something that you and I have both seen and talked about already, that we've seen in the news. The whistleblower, David Grusch, coming out and basically stating like, hey, so I haven't seen it personally, but we have it. We've had it. The government is hiding things from Congress. Other such claims. This happened, I want to say, like about a year and a half ago that he actually made the claim to the Inspector General.
Okay.
But of course, you know, the stigma in anything aerodynamic in that realm is we just
UFOs.
Don't talk about UAPs. Yeah. I want to say don't ask, don't tell, but I mean, yeah.
Well, I don't know a ton on this, but I did watch, I think I mentioned it the other night, a video by John Greenwald Jr. on the Black Vault. Y'all heard of him. If you haven't, go check him out. And he's got a lot of documents on it. And I was listening to that show, and, you know, I was partially there and partially not. But, yeah, I'm familiar with it. And it's actually a few days ago was right about the first time I heard about this guy because it's all coming out now. I haven't looked into him too much yet, but I know he's got some interesting claims. So why don't you take the discussion away? I'm curious what you got.
So he was doing an interview with
what's this guy's
name? David Grusch.
David Charles Grusch. He is
David
the
Charles
whistleblower.
Grusch.
According
yes, he
to
is the whistleblower.
According to
he is the most recent whistleblower.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, according to the debrief, that's what they call him.
So essentially, he's an Air Force veteran. He's 36 years old. He served in Afghanistan. He also served as the representative for the National Reconnaissance Office Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Say that 5 times fast. Phenomenon Task Force. Phenomena. From 2019 to 2021.
UAPTF is what they call it. the acronym. Might be easier.
It's too much. Yes.
UAP
But
TF. Just think
too
UAP
much.
the fuck.
That's how I immediately read it in my brain too when you said that. From 2021 to 2022, he served as the co-lead for the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon UAP analysis for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
The NGA.
So he's up there. He's up there with the smart people. Like it's not that he's like some pilot who, well, he is a pilot, but he's just like some random pilot that's like, we have it. I can't tell you how, but we have it. But like this man has
are very smart as well.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying like he has, shown history in that particular area in regards to like the government.
Right.
So I feel like he's very credible. Apparently a lot of people do, as well as a lot of people have come out to support him, including his name was Ryan Graves. That's what it was.
Yes, Lieutenant Ryan Graves.
Yes, the fighter jet pilot of the infamous videos that we were watching not that long ago. The Go Fast Gimbal, right?
One of them. He was.
It was the one taken from basically the Super Hornet F-18.
I think it was the Tic Tac where Commander David Fravor was out with his wing woman, and they were called to basically abort the training they were doing and go check this thing out. They saw the Tic Tac. They were running low on fuel, came back to the ship, and they let them know and said, "You guys need to get out there, get video of this." And that's when Graves went out.
Yep. So he actually came out and did like an interview with Fox News recently in support of what he said. He was like, he basically said, yeah, what David is saying supports everything that I've said. Even Jim Shell, the former chief scientist at the Air Force Space Command, vouched for him as well.
Okay.
But some of the claims that he's making, simply, like I said earlier, is that he is accusing the government from illegally withholding information from Congress. He also filed a complaint that, quote, allegedly that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures. The debrief basically reports, quote, similar corroborating information from other intelligent officials, both active and retired, with knowledge of these programs.
I gotta say, if he whistleblew before the UAPTF or whatever it was called, set up the hey, come forward, you won't be retaliated.
I believe
against.
That was May of 20. I believe that was May of 2022 where they like created like RO. And supposedly he reached out to Corbell 14 months ago. So
real quick, you mentioned there was a couple people there that kind of vouched for him. I do have one other. I don't think you mentioned him. Colonel Carl E. Nell. He Carl E. Nell. He's a recently retired Army colonel and current aerospace executive who was the Army's liaison for the UAP task force from 2021 to 2022, and he worked with Grusch while he was there, and he characterizes Grusch as beyond reproach. Just an FYI, there's another person there vouching for the guy.
The list goes on. So I mean, it's very interesting what he claims. He also claims that the government has had, or the military government has had, programs in place to retrieve non-terrestrial spacecrafts, for lack of a better word. I guess
we
vehicles.
Hear a common theme here. We've been hearing this for decades from numerous other people who they're never credible, but now that the UAP task force is known that they're studying this, which they've been for decades now. Now they're credible. We've been hearing this the whole time, folks. You all know this.
But so yeah, apparently it's gotten to the point where even like people of Congress have been like, we need to hold meetings about this. What the fuck? So I'm really curious to see where this goes in the next couple of days. Oh god, I'm super excited about it, and man, I need to get Anthony on the show one day because he's like so way into it, even more than Aries than I am. Gosh, it's been like a huge topic in the house lately, so I'm really
Yeah,
excited to see where this goes in the next couple of days because it's just, of course, the Pentagon is like, no, but
of course.
I
Well,
mean,
and you mentioned Congress, and
mhm,
Congress can say what they want. They're
yeah,
only going to get what the ones who are really in charge want to give them.
right.
You know,
Yeah, they're demanding
unfortunately,
answers, but I mean, what
yeah.
answers are you going to get when you demand?
Hopefully, between them, the public, and people like Luis Elizondo, Chris
Hmm.
Mellon, some of these others that are really pushing these guys in Congress, hopefully it raises enough of a stink. Hopefully, it already has, that
Yeah.
some stuff happens. I did hear recently also, um, again, this is from another guy who's supposed to be credible, and he's uh, comes on quite a few times as a guest on a particular podcast. I'd tell you the name of it, but I forgot. And he is claiming that I think it's him.
Hmm.
They're claiming that there's supposedly going to be big news coming out in June this month. Um, the veracity of that, who knows? We'll wait till the end of the month and see
Hmm.
what happened.
Yeah.
But on that note, I got another thing. This is again from the debrief,
Hmm.
just to go along with what you're saying. A guy named Jonathan Gray. He's an
Hmm.
intelligence officer for the
Yep.
National Air and Space Intelligence Center. Um, this is a quote from Gray, Jonathan Gray.
Hmm.
The non-human intelligence phenomenon is real. We are not alone. Retrievals of this kind are not limited to the United States. This is
Yes.
a global phenomenon, and yet a global solution continues to elude us. Um,
To bounce off that, Grush actually even states that the classified information proves that objects of, quote, exotic origin, non human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin, have been recovered by the U.S., its allies, and defense contractors. He
yeah.
also claims that legacy programs revolving around UFOs have been concealed within multiple agencies nesting
Oh yeah.
UAP activities
Yeah.
for, like, not just our government, but like around the, civilized world, I should say, first world,
Yeah.
but like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, so everything that they're saying, multiple people all correlate with each other and have
Yeah.
been correlating for years, but no one just wanted to listen to it or believe it.
Well, I mean, what do
Well,
you mean? What do you mean by no one?
government. Like, I
Be more
mean,
specific.
let's just say
Well,
the higher ups in the government who are like, like, whether or not they believe it, they are not going to allow us to believe it. uh because like,
well,
oh, it's not real, oh, aliens don't exist,
yeah.
they're gonna always hide that from us even
I
if they
mean, it,
did,
it, it
but
really depends who you're talking about, with
mhm.
a statement like that. Because if they know, then there's no whether or not they want to believe it. If they know higher ups in the government, if they know this is real,
Not
it's exactly
everybody
what I've
in the
been saying. It's a
government
cover
though
up. No, I
knows.
know, but
Yeah.
higher ups, there's
Mm.
supposedly a particular group.
Well, I mean,
Um,
clearly the higher ups in the government didn't know, because here we are, Congress saying what the fuck, and like the military being like, yeah, you don't ask, don't tell,
well,
like, so
I don't see the Congress as higher ups. I don't know if you're
well,
referring to that or not, but
I am referring to them as higher ups because they are high in the government because we have voted them into that. Well, not we as in you and I, but like
right.
we as in like a population have
Well,
voted them in there.
when I hear higher ups, regarding this topic
Mm.
and what we're stating, I'm thinking more of the ones that are really in charge. For instance, look at look at our current president, Joe Biden. Okay, I don't know if you saw last week a video came out that day. He had walked up on stage at a graduation.
Did he? That's when he
He
fell, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
like was walking around. He didn't go to the podium. He went to the right of the podium. They went to the left, whatever. He was done and walking off stage, and he literally turned to his left, took like 2 steps, and fell flat on his face. Later that day or the next day, he was getting off, I believe it was the helicopter at the White House or wherever, and nailed his head on it when he was exiting it. So here's my point. You look at a guy like this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
no one's trying to impeach him. No one in the government, even though they should be, with all the possible mental issues we've been seeing with this guy, everyone, red flag, red flag, red flag. This guy should not be the president. What does that tell
Mm-hmm.
you that he is, and he's staying, and nobody high
A
up that should be
puppet.
doing something about it are?
A
Exactly.
puppet.
So when
The
you say
presidency is a
higher,
puppet.
so when you say higher ups regarding this particular topic tonight, what I go to is
Mm.
the higher ups, not Congress, but in the government that are really running the show, because it's very clear that someone's really running the show and others don't have a clue. And I'm not referring to Congress, I'm referring to higher than
That's
Congress.
fair, but
They
the
don't have a
average
clue.
person who is going to report a UFO sighting or however UAP sighting isn't
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, I should contact this particular group. They're going to go to the police, or they're going to be like, senator of my area, representative of my area. Like, they're not, they're just going to
Well,
go up the chain that they know, which is the most basic chain.
they right now, I'm glad you said that. I'm going to say firmly believe that right now, if stuff like this happens and you have at least some kind of evidence that this stuff's happening,
Mm.
um, something you've seen and you got pictures, video, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just 100% legit, I would argue that you should try to reach out to your senators, Congress people, because they are the ones that Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, all them
Mm-hmm.
have been bugging. This is why they're going to the real government now, the big
Mm-hmm.
government, and saying, we want answers. This is the whole
Mm-hmm.
reason this new task force has been created, whatever it was called, after Elizondo quit, and they were forced to admit they had it because Elizondo came out. They lied about Elizondo. Then they turned around like a day or two later and flip flopped on it and said, "Oh no, yeah, he did work here." All this bullshit, and they're all the ones that have been pushing for it, and they've been chirping in Congress' ear and the senators and stuff, and getting them to push against the government because they're the ones who can push against them. It's the Congress
Mm-hmm.
people. So I'd argue if you got a true, like, legit sighting, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
if it's something like what happened May 1st with this object falling out of the sky over Vegas, and
Mm-hmm.
the kid and his family called 911 saying there's
Mm-hmm.
some weird creatures in our yard. Um, if it's something like that, of course you're going to want to call 911. But I would argue that you should reach out to your representatives, so because they're the ones going to these hearings, and they're the ones asking questions, and they're asking questions based off what they're being told to ask by people, I believe, by people like Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and all them.
Mm-hmm.
They're heading them down the correct road, which is good, and they're trying to do it strategically to force the hand.
Shit, let's
Whether
hope.
it works, we're going to find out. But hey, I got another quote here. I don't know if you have any too much more info or not on all this, but
there's not much out there. A lot of it's just a lot of repeat. A
yeah.
lot of it just brings you back to the News Nation interview.
Here's some details on what Grusch said we have. He said, Grusch said the recoveries of partial fragments through and up to intact vehicles have been made for decades through the present day by the government, its allies, and defense contractors. Analysis has determined that the objects retrieved are of exotic origin, in parentheses, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin, based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures. That's quoted from him. So there's just a bit more detail on what he's claiming we have. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Vehicles, intact vehicles we're referring to, my guess is Tic Tacs, your typical saucer-shaped,
He's
the stuff
also
we've been.
mentioned that sometimes dead pilots were found along with
Yeah.
wreckage.
Okay.
That, whoa.
Yeah. Have you heard or seen any of the controversy with this guy regarding what he's saying? Do you have anything on that?
I'm sure there is. I have not, probably because the algorithm shows me
Uh-huh.
certain things, you know.
Who's show who's doing the show tonight? Me or you, man?
I mean, I said it was a discussion, so
No, you're right. Here's another one
mm,
from the debrief. Now, this is part
mm,
of the argument against this. Grush's investigation. Pay attention to this one. His
mhm,
investigation was centered on extensive interviews with high level intelligence officials, some of whom are directly involved with the program. He says the operation was illegally shielded from proper congressional oversight and
mhm.
that he was targeted and harassed because of his investigation. Grush
Yes,
said that the
yes.
craft recovery operations are ongoing at various levels of activity and that he knows the specific individuals, current and former, who are involved. Individuals on these UAP programs approached me in my official capacity and disclosed their concerns regarding a multitude of wrongdoings, such as illegal contracting against the federal acquisition regulations and other criminality, and the suppression of information across a qualified industrial base and academia. Now, that very first paragraph is super important.
Mhm.
He's not claiming to have seen any of this shit. He's not
Yeah.
claiming to have worked with any of this. He's claiming he's
Mm.
been told this from other
Yeah,
people.
he says that people, like, confide in him and tell him things, and
That's a
it's
problem. If he's
Is
not,
it a
if
problem?
it's a big problem. If names are not being named, these people are anonymous. If they're not
True,
being
true, true,
named,
true.
if
Yeah.
they're not coming forward and speaking, that's a huge problem.
Yeah, yeah. That is, yeah, because, like,
That
it's
because
hearsay at that point because you
number
don't have
one, it's not
names.
it's not verifiable.
Yeah.
But one of the other things I had heard mentioned about this is he may fully believe what he's being told. That does
Mhm.
not make what he's being told true. He could be getting played. The
Yes.
government does this. That
Yeah,
God,
no, he
those
very well
words
could be a
escaping me.
misinformation beacon.
Yeah,
Yeah, very well
100%
could be.
could be. I'm not saying he is.
Mhm.
He could be though.
There's
So
still always a possibility of
yeah,
that.
point is you got to keep that in mind. You can't jump to this guy did this and this and this and this in the government. I'm not saying you, just
Mm,
anyone in
mm,
general, myself
mhm, mhm,
included.
mhm.
You can't jump to what he's saying as 100% factual.
Yeah.
There's multiple possibilities, including
Mhm,
the possibility he's getting played.
mhm.
Why? Because he's whistleblowing and he's going to, especially with what's going on now, he's going to get the word out and it's going to go to all of us. We're all
Mhm.
going to hear it and we're going to believe the guy. A lot of
I
people are going to believe the guy.
I
And I'm not
also
saying they shouldn't.
I understand. I also heard that the reason that he's coming out right now is because it's a government cover up for, like, our president and, like, him being Sleepy
uh,
Joe, and I was like, I can't not say I don't see that.
I,
'Cause,
well,
like, but, I
I
mean,
mean,
that's the other side of the coin, like you were saying, the controversial side, like, some people
if I'm
just
not
are getting
mistaken, this stuff started coming out before Sleepy Joe. It started coming out while Trump was in office, I believe.
I
I could be
yeah,
wrong, but
but I feel like they think that this particular instance is a distraction from Sleepy Joe, but then again, people say
oh, this
that.
particular instance, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if
No,
if
this
the whole thing
particular.
is, well, Jesus Christ, well, then they're gonna have to pay off David Fravor, his wing
Mhm.
woman, Ryan
Mm.
Graves, his wingman, the Wizzos, and all four of those planes. They're
Well,
gonna have to do. Come on, give me a
conspiracy
break.
theorists, their theories only go so far, but that's just
Yeah,
another thing that I have heard, and it's, like, not so much read, but I've
right.
heard, and I was like, "Hmm,
Well,
hmm,
do you recall I mentioned you a lady the other night by the name of Sue Goff?
mhm,
Susan Goff, she is with the Department of Defense. She's their
mhm,
spokesperson
mm,
on this particular topic. So,
mm."
for instance, anytime John Greenwald Jr. shoots over a FOIA request or an email, he's getting responses from Sue Goff,
So, yeah.
and he does send her emails. Um, a quote from her. To date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. Arrow is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads. Arrow, working with the Office of the General Counsel and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, has established a safe and secure process to come forward, blah, blah, blah. So her response in whatever was asked of her is she was actually very specific for once, and I know this has been a problem for John Greenwald Jr. from the Black Vault, where it's not very specific replies. There's a lot left out. In other words, it keeps you guessing. You don't know, you know? This reply is very specific. She's saying, to our knowledge, we don't have any downed alien craft. We're not reverse engineering any odd non-terrestrial craft.
Never have.
So
didn't exist in the past, don't exist currently. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to take her word for what it's worth. She hasn't let down yet. However, meaning she's a nice person, you know, and all this stuff, and whatever, fine. But she's the spokesperson for this. I mean,
she's just a mouth. She says what she's told.
Maybe not. We don't know. You know, exactly.
I feel like a spokesperson would be the person who speaks for the group. Like, this is what we've decided on as a group, and I am just here to say it. Whether or not I agreed is not, you know, to be known. It's just this is the comment of the group. That's how I take her position, but I also could be wrong.
In accordance with protocols, Grusch provided the Defense Office of pre-publication and security review at the Department of Defense with the information he intended to disclose to us. His on-the-record statements were all cleared for open publication on April 4th and April 6th, 2023 in documents provided to us. The question they're asking here from the debrief is, well, then they're open, cleared for open publication. Where the fuck are they? It's being questioned. Give them to us.
Yeah.
It's all cleared for publication. Cool. You should be giving them to us, and nothing should be blacked out, which is common for most of these documents.
Yeah, very common.
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, Grusch did leave the government on April 7th, 2023, in order, he said, to advance government accountability through public awareness. He remains well supported within intelligence circles, and numerous sources have vouched for his credibility.
As we had mentioned earlier, yeah.
Yeah, I had some extra stuff there because I wasn't sure what you'd have, and I was looking at something different.
Yeah.
Which I know are definitely in detail. So I want to have it just in case. So that was some of it. And I think it's all important, stuff you're saying, stuff in these documents. So, I mean, you take it for what it's worth, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have, I think the majority of the population's going to say this whole entire topic's bullshit. You're going to have a small percentage, which will be a small percentage of the public, as well as the entire percentage of the public that does look at this stuff and believing it, or at least 50-50. And, I have always pointed out, you have to look at the entirety of everything. You can't just look at this one story about David Grusch being a whistleblower. You can't just look at Bob Lazar and his story. You can't just look at any one story. What we look at least for me, is what's the status right now? The status is there is 100% undeniably, for a fact, something going on. I've seen two instances I can't explain. I know other people have. Stories are coming out like crazy for years now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all going back to like 2001, 2004, whatever these fighter pilots videos were from. You have to look at the entirety. It's now proven that some weird shit is happening. What that is,
Absolutely.
that's another question. Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
You get a guy like this, David Grusch, coming out, whistleblower. Well, we already have Lou Elizondo coming out. We have others who do or did work for the government, Chris Mellon, some of them coming out, and they're all pushing for all this stuff because they supposedly know some stuff. It is all kind of adding up. Of course, it could be a big old conspiracy and we're all getting the wool pulled over our eyes and there's nothing going on. Again, it could all be a big conspiracy and we're getting the wool pulled over our eyes and there really is something going on and they know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to opt for the latter, that we know there's something going on, but that the government either knows or they either know what it is, whether it be of extraterrestrial origin or it be from here or it be their own technology. They either know exactly what it is or they at least have a slight clue, or they don't know it all, but they know what's going on. They know it's been going on and they've been studying it. It's been rumored they've been studying this shit at least since around Bob Lazar in 89. It all adds up. We've shown that they've been studying this. Thank you to Lou Elizondo for coming out. That just proves the lie. And the guy that hit him up at a conference that used to head up the program prior to Lou Elizondo, which blew him away because he thought
he was the first.
Yeah. It just proves what the UFO community thought they already knew from people who've already come out in the past. So they're being forced. And look at the entirety of it. There's something going on. They're not above lying to us.
Oh, no,
They've
not at
proven
all.
that with COVID and other things, you know?
Yeah, but honestly though, like that's one of the reasons why there's so much distrust with the government is because they continuously lie to us. Like I don't know. I think it was Ryan who was saying this on an interview with Fox, that it's important for us to know and for the government to be transparent with us on this topic, because if something happened and say War of the Worlds really did happen, we would be so fucked. Like
you know, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah,
but you got to remember.
I paraphrase what he said, but essentially it was like we should be prepared to know, like, you know, if anything ever happened, we should know that they exist. So it's not like, holy shit, they exist, and holy shit, we're being attacked all at the same time. I'm assuming that's where he was going with it, but he made a good point with that.
And to play devil's advocate, though, we know there's something going on, right?
Yeah.
The government, clearly, they've been studying this. What if they really do know that, and they know that this could be some weird shit that's going to come just screw us all up and kill us all, right? What's the point in telling us and you're going to create a panic. No one's going to go to work. No one's going to do this or that. It's going to be probably anarchy.
Absolutely.
Why tell everyone because they've been studying it. So they know if it's something we can fight against or not. If they know we can't fight against it, why tell everyone and worry
Ignorance
everyone?
really is bliss. No, I completely agree. I was just quoting what Ryan had said. I totally understand. Like, I'm on the fence about this. I agree both ways. Like, yeah, we should know that there's something out there just in case. But if there's something out there that could wipe us off the face of this planet like we do bugs, don't tell me. Just don't tell me. Let that end just come.
If we cannot combat that, I don't think they should tell us. There's no point, you know?
I agree.
But if we really do have technology that is of extraterrestrial origin or from this planet, but still not human, if we actually do have that technology and they've gotten nowhere with reverse engineering, yeah, they should put that out, even if they have gotten somewhere. But then again,
Yeah.
you have the whole argument of, do we really want our adversaries to know we have it? Do they want us to know the progress we've made with it?
Mm-hmm.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Of
National
course not.
secrets.
So, it's a double-edged
Double-edged sword.
sword. Almost
Ah.
every way you cut it. Almost every single
Yep.
fucking way you cut it is a double-edged sword.
Absolutely. And I'm on that sword edge every time because I'm like, damn, I see it both ways. I can't choose.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. I mean,
This is why I'm terrible at making decisions.
Yeah, I'll always revert back to, I'll say it again, and I think you agree with this too. We did a previous episode that had those old paintings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Paintings and stuff with what really do appear to be UAP in them, right? Yeah. The stuff has been dated back for so long, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Even the Mayans have carvings of their gods riding in what essentially looks like a freaking speed racer from Star Wars, like the ones that little Anakin raced across Tatooine. I'm not even kidding you. Like, it's a long front and there's like a bubble around him, which is obviously the cockpit, and then there's fire coming out the backside, and there's like a little thing that it touches the front of his nose.
I've seen
just
that.
Yeah. Like this. Yeah. That's like
They're
oxygen.
thinking it might be an astronaut
yes
type deal, like a spaceship.
Yeah,
and you got to look at that stuff and look at those old hieroglyphs and carvings that have been found around the world, the ones that we've talked about with the they've carved or drew what appeared to be a modern day airplane, what appears to be a modern day helicopter,
and spacemen too, like with helmets and everything.
Right. If what you're saying and those two objects I just described, if those are semi-accurately dated back, as far back as they think they're dated back, what do you think we're looking at? You're talking about a space program being seen by these people back then, or knowledge of it being known to them. I would argue they had to have seen something to be able to draw it. Helicopter and airplane, they would have had to see that to, at minimum, a picture to be able to draw or carve that down. That opens up some possibilities. If those are really that old and our dating is correct, and that wasn't just someone in the 90s doing that shit. Well, I say that for a reason, because carbon dating and all that stuff has been questioned for a long time of its accuracy.
It has.
How do we really know we're dating it back that correct? How do we know that carving itself was made that long ago? Sure, the rock might be 5,000 years old. How do we know the fucking carving was made 4,000 years ago? I who knows? I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying, there are questions about it.
Yeah.
But what would had to have happened for these people to carve what appears to be a rocket with a space with a person inside with a spacesuit on? What would had to have happened for them to carve or draw what appears to be an airplane and a helicopter? What are your ideas on that? What would have had to have happened for them to be able to do that?
I mean,
that long ago.
Clearly have had to have seen it, but so here's the thing. There is a tribe in Africa who for the very, very long time was uncontacted by white men.
Yeah, they got pictures of them trying to shoot arrows at a plane.
I think
that's the one I'm thinking of.
I think that's the Sentinese tribe over by Sri Lanka.
It is. Okay,
totally different one. Yeah, they're the ones who are like, fuck off. And I respect them for that. I respect the hell out of them for that. No, this is a tribe in the middle of Africa. They have stories like of people who came down from the heavens and like blessed them with all this knowledge as to how to read the stars.
The Bible does. The Bible does too.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
But they taught them about Sirius A. And no, Sirius B, because didn't they find B before A, which I think is fucking weird. Either way, one of the Sirius stars, they knew about it, and they knew about its like rotation around the Earth, and this is something that had just been discovered by white man technology. And so these people who just discovered this undiscovered tribe, listening to their stories, they were like, what the fuck? How do you know about that? And they're like, oh, they told us. Like, the fact that people,
Well,
I don't know. And
you think
here's the
about
thing: the
this.
way that they described the people in the sky is actually identical to a creature that was described in Mesopotamia, which I can't remember what show it was, but I swear to God, it was National Geographic. I'll have to look it up. There is proven no direct connection between this tribe and ancient people from that area. So they did like a DNA test on them or something
Yeah.
just to prove it.
Well, think about this real quick. You mentioned Sirius A, Sirius B,
Mm.
and this tribe. They're like, we already know about it. People up there told us, right?
Mm.
When they say they know about it, are they referring to the name of it as well?
No, not the name. The name is a
Okay.
English given name, but they knew
Of
of the
course.
location in the sky and its
Okay.
like
Okay.
pattern that it took throughout the
Perfect.
yeah.
Because I've heard things like that before, and I want to say for some reason I took it also as like they knew the names and stuff, and I'm like,
Mm-mm.
the question came across my mind. Well, how would they know the name? That's just words we created with
Yeah, no,
meanings.
I'm sure they have their own name for it, but they knew of its location and its little miniature moon and
Yeah.
the planetary path that it takes, both the moon and the actual like star that I don't know.
Right.
I just, because of things like that, and because of ancient astronauts being and literal spaceships being carved into just dozens of different cultures throughout the centuries, it's just hard not to believe.
Well, in something you and I think have talked about on the show before, thousands and thousands of years ago, we need to also recall there's a gap in our genealogy. There's
Oh
a
yeah.
gap they can't figure out. There's a
Mm-hmm.
spot where things were just disappeared for so long and slowly
Our
came back.
genealogical eve
You
wasn't really that long ago.
and you got to think there's, I think, a chance that there could have been civilization just like us, way prior to us, that became as technologically advanced as we are today, or better, and something happened and they got wiped out. Fine, but that could be a completely true possibility. Look at Skinwalker Ranch. Look at what's going on there now. I was highly disappointed in last week's episode, by the way, because they really didn't do shit, and other than what we've already seen them do. So I'm waiting.
I feel like that when I watch.
Yeah, and it's almost clear that there's definitively something under that mesa, possibly, probably a metallic object. Fine, and they're even getting the shape of it down, they think. And if you think about that, what's the chance that if there is something there creating these signals that are super rare for us to create, they take a ton of energy to create this 1.6 gigahertz signal. Well, does it have to be extraterrestrial? What's the chance that could be something from a civilization before this gap that we can't figure out, that was more technologically advanced than us? My point is, there's lots of possibilities and explanations. It doesn't just have to be extraterrestrials, things, beings from somewhere else, or beings from here that we just haven't discovered because they're deep down in the ocean.
Yeah.
Could be a possibility.
Absolutely. Anything's a possibility.
Everything's on the table until it's not. And
yeah.
we can't rely on them to tell us what's going on. The public, the non-government employees need to figure it out on their own, and a lot of people are doing good work on it. Thank God.
Yes.
You mentioned Sirius A, Sirius B, blah 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 blah. Another one that's been a long time rumor for possible alien life.
Orion.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah. Okay.
Zeta Reticuli. That's been there for a long time, since at least 89 Lazar or prior.
Testiculi, Jesus
Zeta
Christ.
reticuli.
You
That's
definitely had a
been a big
Freudian
one.
slip on that first one, though.
There was no slip.
Okay. Okay.
But there's a lot of people that have mentioned that, and of course the legitimacy, who the hell knows? And you can't trust Lazar's story because a lot of this stuff was seen in programs, shows, movies, documentation prior to his story. So, and he even claims, he even says that the documents he was shown, the briefing documents before he worked on this shit, he didn't even put much faith into them because he was supposedly under the impression of, why am I getting shown this and I don't even know what I'm working on? So he kind of just dismissed it. And afterwards, up till now, he says, I don't know if I can trust those documents or not. Because I saw no proof of any of that. I just know what I did, what I worked on, and not saying he's telling the truth or lying. I don't know. But that's another show.
That's going to be a multi-show.
Yeah, you got to add up the history of this stuff, guys. Yeah. I mean, you really do. You can't look at one thing. I know some people who will never know, most likely will never know my thoughts on any of this stuff, and for a good reason. One of them is one that goes, oh, yeah, UFOs, aliens, stupid, that type of shit. And it's like, no, that's not what it means. But you also know nothing of the history of it. And the history is the shit's been seen since early recorded human history. So now we come into the problem is there really a chance this could be human technology? The only possibility for that is that time travel is possible, whether it be real time travel or through a portal, right?
Yeah, that would, man, I would be so happy.
You have to look at the facts and the evidence, the proof. It's been going on way longer than your family's been around. And I mean, generations worth of families have been around. It's been going on a long time. You cannot discount that. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to happen soon. This David Grusch, I'm not seeing a big stink made about it yet. It doesn't mean there won't be.
It's so new. It's just
yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this thing that just happened in Vegas. The 911 call about the odd. Quick update on this.
Okay.
I meant to do this at the beginning of the show, so apologize out there. A correction and an addition. I mentioned that big tractor that was in the backyard and that one of the creatures was in there. I was looking over it again today, and I think what I'm getting from it is that it wasn't that. It was whatever craft it was that was there.
Yeah.
One of these creatures was still in the craft. The second creature was outside of the craft.
Got you.
Another thing that this kid said in an interview. Now, keep in mind, as with every goddamn story, whether true or not, there's so much left out. Like, there's questions that aren't being asked, or if they were, we haven't been told the answers, but we need them. For instance, it sounds like at some point, these people were in the house looking out the window at these things, right? So at that point, I would question, well, how'd they get in the house? Because they were outside working on a car. We saw the light in the sky. The thing came down quick. Boom! Explosion on the Ring camera. And now all of a sudden, these people are calling 911. They're inside. But there's no mention of them going inside. And I think the entirety of that has to be looked at. But they were looking at these things, and this kid said, I forgot this yesterday. This is interesting. He goes, when I made eye contact, I was looking at it. He goes, everything was blurry. He goes, my vision was not blurry. Outside, around all of them, everything outside there in the backyard, backyard was blurry. Inside the house, everything else he was looking at, completely normal. Think about that. Where's that take you? Kind of like a cloak type
cloaking
technology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of interesting. if true. If true. The comet, the comet, the light, whatever the hell it was actually seen through multiple states. I forget the states, but it was like 4 or 5 states, like Utah, you want to say Arizona, obviously Nevada.
Yeah.
But there was 1 or 2 more states as well. So the kind of the arc, the trajectory of the thing. But yeah, I don't know. Just quick updates on that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that in the next few days, weeks, and month. Hopefully soon.
It is really interesting to see who all has like spoken up in support and like the positions that they held. And I'm just really glad that
you know what. Yeah, keep going.
I'm just really glad that like people are being like, hey, remember what I said? Yeah, like hi. So I don't know. It helps validate so many other people and their stories, and like hopefully
there's another missing piece. What happened to these creatures in the craft? We don't hear any of that in the story. We saw them when I looked at them, and outside everything in the backyard was blurry, but not in the inside. So now I question, when you looked at them, when you looked outside and everything was blurry, then how the fuck do you know what these creatures look like? How do you know they were 8, 9, 10 feet tall? How do you know they had big, black, shiny eyes? How do you know they had smooth, shiny skin? How do you know their skin was grayish green?
I mean, it could be okay. So look, I have blurry vision if I don't wear my glasses, but I can still make things out. Like
I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is there's questions that have to be asked, and if they were, we need to hear the entirety of everything. I want to know how the fuck they got back inside. I want to know how they got so much detail if everything out there was fucking blurry.
Blurry, yeah.
And I want to know, where did they go? What happened to the craft? There's no way this shit's going to happen. You're going to run inside, prompt you to call 911. You're staring at these fucking things through the window. And then all of a sudden, you're just not watching them anymore. Bullshit. You're going to watch that shit as long as you feel semi-safe. You're going to watch them as long as you can. So where did they go? How are they no longer in the story? Where is that missing information?
God damn it. You're right.
I'm just saying.
No, you're absolutely right. And now I have questions that I want answers to, and I will never have the answers to it. And it's like, man, this is bother me.
This is how you have to look at this stuff. You can't just take it 100% for what was said and boom. This kid said he thinks it's aliens. That doesn't mean it was. That doesn't mean that the story's not made up. It could easily be made up. We clearly have something coming down. Very high likelihood that was a meteor, bolide. The Ring doorbell footage of the explosion of woo, boom. Yeah, normal for a fucking meteor coming in that's big enough to be that bright and blow up in the atmosphere. Yeah, we've seen it before. So back to the people claiming they had shit in their backyard, creatures they call alien. Where's the missing information? Because those are important details. Very important details.
Yes.
I
don't know. The answers are with them, and it makes me mad.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh,
well, David Grusch.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what happens with him. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the guy right now. I'd say I'm going to trust him because I've been lied to too much. We all have. So I'm going to trust what he's saying.
Same.
We'll see what happens.
Yep. But hopefully he doesn't just go mysteriously missing.
Well, I agree. Hopefully he doesn't. But in a way, wouldn't that almost be some type of proof of an even bigger cover-up?
Yes, exactly.
What if Bob Lazar came out with this story in '89? George Knapp publishes it, makes it public 8 months after Lazar tells him, and within a week of Knapp making it public, Lazar is gone, just gone. or a mysterious death. I mean, I don't want the guy to disappear, right? David Grusch.
Yeah.
But what would that say if he did? They're not
The
stupid enough to
government
do that
operates like a
anymore.
mob.
They have.
I know. That's why I had to say it. The government operates like a mob.
Hey, walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
It's got to be a
fucking
duck,
guys.
Yep.
Bunch of duck fuckers. Well, on that note, like, share, subscribe. If you have a personal story of your own, similar to what we just heard in the news, David Grusch, someone like David Grusch, shoot us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com, type story in the subject so we know what that's for. Bells? Whistles?
Bells and whistles. Feel free to click that bell so that you're subscribed every time a new episode drops, every Friday, 8 Eastern Pacific. There we go. Ooh, I had to think
5
about
p.m.
that.
Pacific.
5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. There we go. I almost said Central. I don't know why I keep thinking I'm Central.
I'm
whatever.
Sorry.
Honestly, my life would be easier if I was Central Time. I would be an hour behind myself.
Yeah.
It would make this so much easier, you know?
Move south where the sun sets a little bit earlier.
Yeah, right? Yeah, also visit us on our Facebook page and our Instagram page, Obscured Reality. Get some other type of content over there. Communicate with us. Like, share,
Copy
comment.
That. I hear that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got something else there?
No.
I think I cut you off.
No.
All right. We're out of here, folks. Have a good night and peace out till next time.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.